big is Skool? I don't think people quite realize how big it is.
I think it's like 17 million users. And the cool stat really is it took us 4 years to get the first million, and now it's every 15 days.
What is success to you?
The big mission that we have is to help 1 billion people find community. We were getting like 16-year-old dudes with no shirts on trying to make $1 million. Like,
welcome to my world, the Silicon Valley. Do you think that some of this is thankless? But what's this whole thing going on with Eman Gatsby, like buying your old company and then trying to fight you with WAP?
I think the buying of the consulting.com thing, that's a little bit weird.
Is it something that you feel like you're in competition with him?
I'm definitely not competing with that. I don't know what you call that. I'm just trying to make Skool. That's what I'm trying to do.
Thanks for doing this, Sam. Really appreciate it. I know today is a big day for you all at Skool. So what's going to happen is I'm going to interview you for about 30 minutes and then we'll have questions. But we'll kick it off by talking about the big news. Just saw you announce and demo the live calls inside like native to Skool memberships. How long has that been in the works?
Maybe like 2 months.
Oh, 2 months. Really? I heard us talking about it in October when I was in Vegas. I think people have been asking for it for much longer.
Oh, there's like, thinking about how we're going to do it and doing some research, but then there's just actual writing code. It depends what you mean by in the works.
Yeah. Well, that's a good place for us to start too, because you have a pretty small team compared to the size of this company. Is that accurate to say that?
I think so.
Yeah. So how big is the team itself?
Like 36 people.
To me, that seems, I've invested in 200 companies, so I've seen a lot. It seems small. You're doing that on purpose. I don't even have to ask that question.
The payroll is big.
Oh, is it? Okay, so you have some like...
So it's small headcount, but very big salaries. We just have a small team of really... Like the only engineers we hire are principal or senior, which are like the highest level. Mm-hmm. And that's how I like to run things. It's just, no juniors, no mid-level people, and only the best. And you've got to pay a lot more for that, but you don't have the headache of just managing a whole bunch of people,
Yeah, they've been around. That's interesting. That's kind of what's happening with the Meta OpenAI war, where they're just like, hey, here's $1 billion, come work for me, back and forth. But it's good for those engineers, and it's interesting. So then how should we use that live? Obviously we're doing live right now. If I had a little forethought, I would have probably made this live. But what do you think it's going to do for Skool members and Skool hosts to have this live video ability now?
They're already using something else, like what you're doing right now. We're on Zoom. It just makes this native on Skool so that you don't need to download Zoom or go outside of Skool onto Zoom to do it, right? It just makes things a lot easier, a lot more easy. Did you watch the episode?
Yeah, I just watched the 15 minutes at 10 a.m. So everybody here is in my ecosystem on Skool, right? We're coming from a Skool membership, and many of them have their own Skool memberships, not all. And then the people who will watch this replay, many of them, like hundreds of them, would have their own schools. So every week you do Skool news and you live explain what's going on with Skool, or you'll talk about it. And today was solely focused on, it looked like, this big announcement. Yeah. People have been waiting for it.
Well, what do you think? How do you think it's going to change things?
I think it's a really big deal. I think that for retention, it's big. I haven't been able to use it yet because I prepped for this right after I watched it. So I have 8.5 memberships. I'm in them every day, bouncing around them. So to be able to just do an impromptu, when I think about the one that has 2,000 members, to be able to do an impromptu live call is just going to be, for retention, I think, a huge deal. I think you can get more out of that than even as throwing everything you can into the classroom. And you can also spin up like the $9 memberships that we have now on Skool, where it costs $9 and not $100. What you can do there is you don't even have to. You can get started faster and easier because that is what you offer. A lot of people say, what do you offer? What do I offer people getting started? You can offer a live session with you a couple of times a week inside of the membership that's scheduled. You can offer like, hey, I'm going to pop up, impromptu sometimes, so stick around. And then you can put those replays into your classroom. So I think
the
it makes it easier.
impromptu one is going to be fun, I think, because
Yeah.
that button's just kind of staring at you. It says go live. And it's so easy, with like a click, you could be live. And you don't know who's going to show up and you don't even know what it's about. But there's something really nice about that. You don't have to premeditate like, oh, do I have slides? When is it going to be? Am I going to send reminders? You're just like, you just go live and just let things unfold. Yeah, that and then the recordings is pretty smooth. Do you see how fast that was?
I did. It was a short recording though, so it would be interesting to see what happens after an hour of me going on. I mean, so far, what I saw. I've only seen 15 minutes, but what I saw was very smooth and very friction-free, which is what's going to make it great. Now, then it becomes an interesting thing of like, I feel very comfortable talking on camera and very comfortable doing things impromptu. It'll be interesting to see how people who don't feel that way, does it make it easier for them? Or is it like they don't use it because they're scared of it? And, there's all kinds of things we can get into when it comes to that. But that's interesting to me. Well, actually, one person asked a question that I want to ask is there a limit of how many hours per month we can use the video?
It's unlimited at the moment.
Not at the moment. We'll see. You'll see how it goes and see what the bill.
I believe there'll be some annoying person who just streams all day.
Jepton TV.
It's just doing something stupid. And we might be like, okay, you can't do that. But like, I'm sure most people are probably going to be fine. Like, we want people to use it. We don't want to restrict people using Skool,
Yeah, they'll be happy to hear that. Okay, the next thing I want to ask you about, and then we'll get a little bit of backstory, but next thing I want to hear about is, unless you're tired of talking about it, you feel free to tell me, is this, what are you calling it? The Hormozi tsunami? What you called it?
Yeah.
It's a tsunami regardless of who sent the people. So on your side of that, I really want to know what you think of that. What did you
good, right?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we got like a lot of trials, and a lot of people hyped about Skool and the community. The thing I was worried about is like, it's great that we're going to grow a lot and everything, but I was worried about the quality of people in Skoolers and everything. But I was actually quite surprised. Everyone seems really cool, and the vibe's actually better than ever, I think.
Yeah, because you have a lot of like old schoolers who feel like now they're sophomores or I'm sorry, now they're juniors or seniors, and they feel a little bit like, oh, I can show you the ropes because 6 months ago I had to figure this out. There is that vibe to it, especially in the schoolers community itself. And I guess we won't know for another 70 days or so how many people stick around, but it seems strong. I think it would be helpful to tell this group, because this is a group of very ambitious and successful entrepreneurs. It'd be interesting to tell us some of the numbers, or like that you can share. You don't have to share what you can't share, but like, how big is Skool? I don't think people quite realize how big it is.
I think it's like 17 million users. But it grows by 1 million every like 15-ish days. So like, depending when I look at it, and the cool stat really is it took us 4 years to get the first 1 million. And now it's every 15 days. So like,
you see my book title, Your First Man.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting story. So 4 years to get to 1 million users, just not hosts, but anybody using the platform. And then now it happens every 15 days?
Yeah. 15 days, yeah. And accelerating.
Were you all prepared for this? Did you realize this was going to happen when it came to this tsunami? I know it happened a few times before, but this time around, did you imagine that it was going to like double in 5 days?
No, we estimated 20 to 50,000 group signups, right?
Yeah.
I think Hormozi told me 50, so I thought, okay, 20 to 50, because I don't want my team I try to like understate things to the team, because you don't want people getting disheartened or anything.
Yeah.
But then it ended up being like 125,000. So yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. And as far as like, it's hard to tell right now, but as far as I can see, it's not a lot of fluff. It's not, and it seems like you all have the AI and the people involved to get like to boot people if they're just.
Yeah, we learned that from the last launch. So the last time Hormozi like promoted Skool in the beginning, we weren't prepared, and I ended up doing a lot of the moderation and was stressing out. But we also didn't have the tools to deal with it, like the platform moderation and everything, and fraud and, everything that comes with scale. So I ended up last year was pretty brutal for me dealing with all of that. But this time around, we have way better systems. So like, honestly, the system didn't even break a sweat, and neither did our team. Like, I think normally our support response times are 20 minutes. They got to 50, which isn't that bad. They're still faster than a lot of company support teams. Yeah, everything was fine. The system didn't even slow down at all. It definitely didn't crash. And it just, I saw someone said it handled it like a tank. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing. That's good to know that happened on the inside, because a lot of times that would have been just absolute chaos.
The other thing is we had to get like the stripe rate limit increased big time, like to like 40,000 per second kind of thing.
Wow.
Because the problem with an announcement like that is everything comes at once, so you can get like these spikes, and the spikes are hard to deal with. But yeah, we knew we had a moderation team, we knew we had special rate limits with Stripe and everything, and we've had a year or more than a year actually, like a year and a half to like fortify the platform. So yeah, it was easy the second time.
What is it like? I saw the replay with you, Hormozi, and Nick, that unfortunately I was sick and I couldn't make it in person, but I saw the replay. I watched the 2 hours, and it seems like there's probably, like, this was right before, like a week before all this happened. It seemed like there's a renewed energy around what's happening. Like, how does it feel internally at Skool?
There's definitely more hype. Like the first time Hormozi announced it, there was hype, but the first time was about the school games.
Yeah.
Right? Then we we saw problems with the school games. So then we changed a bunch of things at the start of this year. And then we had to find our new way to grow. And then we found this new way, and now we're growing again and the hype's back, but it's different. And this one is a lot more healthy, I think, because you don't have these people just trying to win the school games to meet Hormozi. They've actually got a passion. They want to actually build a community.
Yeah.
Right? The school games are still there, but it's not the sole reason someone would use Skool.
Yeah.
And that it's a subtle thing, but it changes a lot, actually. Like if you go on Skool Discovery, or if you just click on random people's profiles in the community and schoolers, everyone's got like some kind of craft or some kind of passion or something, right? Have you noticed this?
Yeah. I study it quite often.
It's a lot better. It's honestly crazy.
It's not like winning at all costs and just cranking things up. And
we were getting like 16-year-old dudes with no shirts on trying to make $1 million. Like,
welcome to my world, the Silicon Valley.
What's funny is they would actually have profile pics with no shirt on. I was like, why is there so many dudes with no shirts on?
Yeah.
It's probably because the dude in the ad had a tank top.
Tank.
And so like,
yeah.
We learned like attracts like, and so you got to be very careful with what you put out. And now our ads are made by our community, and there's many different personalities, right? You've been in some ads, Goose has been in some ads, and that's harder for like you to put Skool in a box and stereotype it. You can't say, oh, Skool's just for this. And you also resonate to all of these different types of people. And when the message isn't solely around like winning the school games, it's a lot more wholesome, I think.
Yeah.
Now we've exceeded the peak growth rate of 24, but with no negative second order effects, which was the goal. There's
2 directions I want to go next. One is about the core mission of Skool for you. What is success to you in 5 years with Skool?
I don't know about 5 years specifically because I haven't thought about that. I know the long term like vision, and then I know more like shorter term.
Okay, share that.
5's very hard to estimate, right? So long, like the big mission that we have is to help 1 billion people find community, because we think that something special happens when you find your people. And we think that the way to find them is through your passion, like the thing you're passionate about. Instead of going looking for people, you like something, hopefully, something, whether it's gardening or beekeeping or business or, I don't know, AI, whatever. And then you can find like-minded people that are also interested in that. And through that process, you can like make friends and find a community. And we think that's actually the best way to learn and a great way to make friends. And it makes your life a lot more fulfilling, I think. And we also think that like community is kind of lacking these days. Like people might have used to got it from the church or the town hall or their neighborhood or something, but things have changed a bit with the internet. And so that's the big mission and vision. And we think the key to that is empowering the creators to earn a full-time income by building communities, right? Because it takes work to build a community and to make it great. And it's hard to like put in all of that effort if you can't earn an income doing that, right? We think the key to the billion people is by helping these passionate people earn a full-time income by building a community around the thing they're passionate about. And if you empower them, then they bring the other side, and that's how it works. Shorter term, in the next year, I mean, we're working on these missing pieces. They're kind of obvious, like live streaming, right? Not long ago, we didn't have video hosting, so we added that.
Yeah.
One of the upcoming updates is about like webinars, which is a slightly different type of live stream. Then we need better analytics for you guys so you can grow your community more. An affiliate leaderboard would be pretty cool.
Yes.
Improving the mobile app, internationalization to different languages. And that's a lot of work, what I just said. So just growing, right? Dealing with the growth and adding the pieces that are kind of missing, I think.
Do you think that some of this is thankless, and that you have like thousands of people yelling at you, kind of in a friendly way, but kind of saying, we want this, we want this, we want this, and then you do it, you deliver it, and the next week it's like, what have you done for me lately? To quote the iconic Janet Jackson.
Well, people are pretty happy. I like making people happy and giving them something good. And so, yeah, people are always asking for things, but at least the vibe is positive. It's not like everyone's saying, "Oh, you guys suck." I mean, it would be pretty demotivating if that was happening. In the beginning, there was a lot more of that because it takes time to make something good enough that can compete with the other things. But recently, people are really hyped and they really like it. And, sometimes I've had to tell this to my team a couple times, like when people give negative feedback or they ask for something and it seems like they're not thankful, I always think that it's better that they say something than not, because the worst thing that can happen is that no one cares enough to even say anything, right? Mm-hmm. If someone doesn't have an emotional reaction, it means they don't even care. And that's the worst, right? If someone cares so much that they're saying like this will ruin my life kind of thing, that's kind of a compliment, right? It means that they like your product so much that it's like physically affecting them. And I feel that way too sometimes when someone updates a software or something, like something I use a lot, like Figma or Google Chrome, I have like a physical reaction to it because I live in that thing, So I like the feedback. And I think it's kind of a compliment that even people say anything, right? Yeah. And there's a lot you can do with that. You can listen to it and get better.
Well, they say the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. So that makes sense. I want to also do a little bragging for you because I know you won't do it, but you had this whole life before school. Maybe 1 out of every 5 videos in the info space that I watch, I hear somebody quote you or say that they were when they were in your thing or whatever. What did you do before school and what kind of success did you have?
Yeah, so I ran one of these businesses, online education or whatever you want to call this. And I actually how I got started initially was I bought a course that showed you how to start a software company. And I learned from this guy called Dane Maxwell. This is ages ago. So I learned how to build a company and become an entrepreneur by buying an online course. And then I became like the star student of that thing. Like I did quite good with it. I built this software company called Snap Inspect that still exists today. I sold my shares. I loved software. I didn't love property management at all. But I fell in love with this like online entrepreneur, online course, online community kind of world by being a member. And I ended up flying over to America to hang out with that group and became friends with them. And that was my first trip to America and ultimately what led to me moving here too. Everyone in that course was asking like, oh, how did you solve this problem? And then so I would say like, I will do like 6 1-hour Zoom calls with you for like $1,000 and I'll coach you basically. And then my calendar just sold out and I had no more time left. So then I thought, well, the next one I do, I'll record the calls with one person, get his permission. And so I went through those 6 1-hour calls with this guy, recorded them, put them in Dropbox. And then when people would email me and say they wanted to buy it, I'd say, I don't have any time. But I recorded these calls so you can buy them for $1,000. And then people bought it. And then it was so funny. The first time I sold that, I was like, he's definitely going to ask for a refund. But he didn't. He loved it. And I was like, oh my God, did I just sell like a link for $1,000? And then I was like, wonder if I can do it again, and did it more and more. And then I was like, okay, I can sell a course. And so then I put together a course and then launched it to my small email list. And my email, this is so funny how it all happened. Like this guy wanted, because I was like the poster child for this guy's software course, he wanted me to go on Mixergy, which is like an online interview website, right? You can still find my interview if you look back. It's so old. I look like I'm 15 or something. At that point, I was like, oh, a bunch of people are probably going to Google me. So I bought the domain samovens.com and I put a little opt-in form there so you could join my email list. And like 3,500 people had joined my email list. And I knew I had something people wanted. Like I knew I could have make a course. So I made a course, did a launch, a Jeff Walker product launch formula style thing, if you know that.
No, Jeff Walker. I go back as far as Amy Porterfield and Russell Brunson. That's a great turn I've heard about, but
okay. Well, everyone's that like 3 or 4 video thing where you launch on the last one. That
yep.
He basically came up with that, and I sold my first course and I got like $200,000 in a day from that, and I was like, holy shit.
And what kind of year was this? Because Ange says she knows of Jeff PLC. I don't know what that means, but
this would have been like 2012, 13.
Yeah.
I do remember this was back when you didn't use your phone to make a video. You had to have like a DSLR.
Yeah.
And like, to get a merchant account in New Zealand, I had to go to the bank. Like Stripe wasn't available where I was. So like, And no one was making courses or making videos even. It was hard to make a video. So this is going back. Like, I don't know if these days you can make 200 grand in a day from a 3,000 person email list. This was different back then. But that experience, I was like, holy shit. And everyone loved the course, and then people were successful with it. So I sold my shares in my software company, went all in onto making courses, and just fell in love with this industry and spent a good amount of time, like 6-7 years, just making courses, growing online communities. And then it got to the point where I was like, the tools were a real burden, like having to have funnels and Zapier and forms and email lists and automation tools and pixels. And it was almost like you had to check everything every day to make sure something didn't break. There was a serious technical burden to just running the business. And my business was showing people how to succeed with one of these businesses. So it made my job extra hard because, they would always fuck it up. And I also noticed at the same time that this industry was kind of going mainstream. Like YouTubers started launching courses, even more famous people. There was like Masterclass came out, and making money online wasn't this like underground punk rock kind of thing anymore. It was like becoming something that everyone wanted. And so I was like, okay, well, this weird thing that I'm good at is becoming mainstream, and I know how to make I know my passion is making software. So I was like, what if I made software for the industry that I love? And I think it could be like I think there's an opportunity here for a platform where I can bring all the different pieces together, because this industry is highly fragmented. Like everyone has these isolated little islands on like websites and WordPress and whatever, and no one can like find each other's stuff unless you like pay for ads, which is very inefficient. Like they're very expensive, and then you spend all of your time screwing around with ads. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I could make a platform for this, like the Airbnb, for example, of this industry. So that's kind of the backstory.
There are a lot of questions coming in. So I think what I'll do is I'll switch over to questions so we can make sure everybody can get their questions in, and then I'll come back because I have more questions for you, Sam.
Cool.
I'm assuming you have time still.
Yeah, all good.
Anybody who put a question but wants to ask it directly on video or audio, please do the hand raised emoji instead. I think that's a lot more dynamic than just me reading it out. Anybody want to ask their question instead of me just reading it out? Because these are good questions. Oh, go ahead. Go for it. Go ahead, Angela.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for being here today. Arlan, thanks for bringing them in. I would just want to know, like, what was your inspiration for Skool? And how do you think Skool is really special compared to other things that are out there?
I think my inspiration was I was kind of solving my own problem, so I would get to use it myself. And I really don't like marketing. I'm willing to do some pretty extreme things not to have to do marketing. And I had this dream. I was like, what if I made it so that if all you were good at was your thing, that would be enough. People could find you and it would grow on its own, right? And that really excited me. So there was that dream of, could I even make that happen? That sounds pretty hard. And this dream of like just regular people being able to do it. Like if someone's good at knitting or beekeeping, because there's passionate people, they're not passionate about using software. They're passionate about skateboarding or surfing or like beekeeping or something, right? So you tell them to like install a Pixel, like they're not passionate anymore. Right? Like that really kills your buzz. I would say what motivated me was scratching my own itch, making it accessible to like everyone, even like normal people, and potentially being able to solve this like inefficiency problem of like spending all of your time doing marketing instead of working on your craft.
And then what sets it apart?
Well, you tell me, Arlan, because I'm biased.
Yeah, I would say the simplicity and the lack of friction. You know, sometimes people want a couple extra features, and when you really break it down, I've been on the other platforms. I've been on, I'll call them out: Mighty Network, Circle, Teachable, Kajabi. I've been on all of them, and all of them have their merits for sure. But it's not as simple and kind of intuitive to me. That's kind of a preference. And then they do not have the network effects that are built into Skool. You know, if somebody joins Mighty Networks, for instance, and this is my opinion, not Sam's necessarily, but when someone joins Mighty Networks, it doesn't cause them to go over and find another Mighty Networks to join. They just join that person's group, as far as I can tell. That's just, again, what I've seen.
Well, they don't even know they're on Mighty Networks, right?
Yeah. So they all have their merits. But I think that's a big part. So the two things, like the network effects of it and the flywheel of it all. Because every time someone joins, they actually see it in action. They're like, oh, actually, I want this for myself. There's a chance for, I don't know how many, I guess you could just do the math, 17 million divided by 170,000. So like 1 in 100 of people who have a membership. Yeah, it'd be 17 million divided by 170,000. It's 1 in 100 people on the site have a membership. So if there are 1 million people joining every 2 weeks, that's 10,000 people saying I want a membership, you know, after a while, you know, potentially. So I think it's like, woo, it's like a wee feeling rather than what does that mean? And how do I do that? And how do I, you know, figure that out? So, yeah.
That's the part that was my longer term dream, right? Like, how can I make it so that it grows itself? That's actually starting to happen a lot. Like, it's roughly 30% of memberships come from the platform itself. And something like 10% come from user referrals. So like your members inviting inviting their friends. Yeah. That's like
mine's 15% is my affiliate rate.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. And I bet you like at least 20% probably come from Skool.
Yeah.
And so that now is hard to deny, right? Because if you're like, everyone can have their preferences about, oh, I don't like the way it looks, or I wish it had all of these features or everything, right? But if you're going to get 30 to 40% more customers, that is something that's hard to say no to, right?
Yeah. Is there even more in the pipeline to create that?
Oh yeah, that's what soon enough that will be like the only thing we are really tweaking. Because you just can't add features forever. Like, where does that end?
Yeah. It's like everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
warehouse.
These phases, like phase 1 was utility. Like in the beginning, people just needed the tools to operate this business. And we're still going through utility after 6 years, like to get to all these pieces, because there's a lot of pieces. Phase 2 is like accessibility. And we've already started on phase 2. So like having a lower price point, the $9 was key for that.
Yeah. But
we still are only in English. So like, you know, there's a lot of other languages. So having lower price points and making sure we support other languages and the payment methods and currencies and things too, right? Accessibility is important. And then the third one is just like literally optimizing the economy in a way. You've basically got your own economy. And so you've got to make sure that good behavior gets rewarded, basically, and bad behavior doesn't. And so, on why people like posting videos on YouTube is because if you make a good video, it gets more views, right? And users like YouTube because it shows them what stuff that they like. And that's what Skool has to do. So it's like, how can users find what they like, and how can creators get the right members, and how do people who are good at what they do get rewarded, and people who try to do bad stuff like bots and things don't get rewarded, right? And that's an ongoing thing, like tweaking that economy, basically.
Kiana.
Hi, so Kiana from Houston, Texas, and thank you for joining us. You mentioned about having 17 million users and then growing to the capacity where pretty much everyone knows about Skool. So one of the biggest challenges that we have as business owners is when it comes to scaling. And I know Skool is a tight-knit community. So how has that process been for you, trying to maintain it, keep the quality of the product that you're offering while still scaling it like you are?
Yeah, so I guess it's slightly different, like if you're offering a high-touch coaching thing versus a software, right? Like if you're offering like a lot of one-on-one support and everything, that breaks with scale, right? And you have to like make it less high-touch as you increase in size. But there is things we've done with schoolers in particular. For example, the Skool News is a very efficient way to run the community because all we have to do is one live stream for like 20-30 minutes once a week, and that's the only post I actually make in that community. So if you look at my profile in that community, I've only done one post a week since like March, which is pretty efficient, I think. And that way we get everyone on the same page. They know what's going on. They feel heard and everything. I do spend a lot more time than that just reading what people are saying. So I do a lot of listening, and sometimes I'm in the comments and stuff talking to people individually, but I get it's like a news broadcast. That's why we even called it Skool News, because as the community grows, the old way of being able to do what we're doing here just doesn't work with 170,000 people, right? So coming up with methods like that to like deal with the increased scale, if that makes sense.
And it keeps it home, like folksy to many. And to many more, it could stand, to do that for a million schoolers. It would be
and a lot of the OG schoolers like Arlan, like we still have a closer connection. So I'm doing this, see her at one of the Skool Games events or DMs, right? So that intimate thing hasn't gone away. It's just it's changed for the bulk of the community in a way, but they actually like it more too, which is interesting. We've actually improved the community dynamics at scale instead of let them get worse.
It does help that the whole thing is about community. So if you can kind of model it and get the information out to people fast enough and say what is good, behavior and what isn't, or, rule of thumb, or that's not the right thing to say, but you know what I'm saying. That does radiate out, and then because you essentially, I think your ambassador program is very in tune with what I'm saying. Like you literally have ambassadors for Skool who can be bigger than you, beyond you.
Yeah, it's so funny how often that's been the answer, which is like the community can be the answer. So like there was a point where we needed capital, and the community came forward and wanted to like invest, and the community has told us what to make, and we just make it for them, right? And then when it came to advertising, like the community makes the ads now. And it's even with this world tour thing, like these events going on are all around the world, Goose is doing them. He just started doing them. We weren't even paying for it or organizing it or anything. And he's just going around the world doing it for people, hosting these events all around the world for schoolers. And there's even been like podcasts pop up that are about Skool. And so it's honestly amazing how that has happened, because there's the ultimate, right? If you don't have to do it all yourself, because I don't really like making content and advertising. So yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
Erin just said she lives in Spain, and she said she's from the U.S. but lives in Spain. She said, I just went to the event with Goose here in Barcelona, and there were hundreds of people there. 2/3 weren't already on Skool, and now a bunch are. So
Nice.
it's not just for like, hey, let's get together because we know each other. It's like the marketing is on steroids at this point.
That's pretty cool, right? Like, I remember it wasn't long ago that it was just me and my business, and I would write the emails, I would make the VSL video, I would then have to write the ads, run the ads, and then when people purchased, I was the one talking to them on the. It was like not that long ago that I had to do everything.
Yeah, we see how important network effects are and how important scaling, radiating out, kind of like a globe rather than in one direction is, just for our
Well,
own
there's
business.
something there about like community, because it's community. There's like something in the DNA or something where it's like they want to help, and
It's ownership. It's theirs too.
yeah,
Ours too.
yeah, there's something really cool there that seems to be the answer to our problems, like again and again and again.
Yeah. It's also, Sam, you are like anti-bro. Like you're the opposite of bro E, and I know of bro because I surrounded by it. And I think, watching you in October in person with Hormozi, who is a very big personality, like he commands a room. He's very intelligent, very sharp. He can talk about 20 things at a time. And I think for me, I don't know where it comes from with you, but maybe you could speak to it. It's like your ability to let someone else have the spotlight, whether it's Hormozi or me coming up to you and said, hey, where are the women on the site? Any other, like 9 out of 10 other people in your position would have been like really defensive if I walked up to them and said that, or really alpha trying to outdo Hormozi in the room and try to like go whatever. I think that has a lot to do with like the the groundswell. What do you think of that? Do you ever contemplate that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not the show here. You guys are, right? Like, I'm the platform, and it's my job to not be so in your face, right? Like, it's some people just won't like me for whatever reason, and it's like if I'm one person, I won't appeal to everyone.
Right.
The platform should take the back seat and let you shine. Plus, how could we ever expect to grow if we didn't let creators feel like it was their thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I say make your members the hero of your membership, of your community. You'll never worry about money again if they are the heroes. That's why we do our series. We have a series called The Assignment that we like spotlight people from our memberships, and we kind of roll out the red carpet for them. And yeah, I love it too when you have the affiliate or you have the invite me on a free membership, free school. When you bring people in, okay, if I have 100 people in this membership and each of them brings in 1 or 2 people, then we can kind of like that's a way of vetting this community even more and more. I want to make sure we get to more. Jen.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for being with us, Sam. My one question is, I just joined Skool, thanks to Arlan, and I've always had a like niggly issue with niching down. And I get that like if I'm knitting and everything's going to be about knitting, I should have like the knitting group. Or I've been working in grief, and it's like, okay, grief to grace, or walk through grief with grace. I want to get out of grief. And I'm just curious, like, do you recommend I have different groups for very specific niches, or do I speak to transformation in a really succinct way? Like, do you have a recommendation for titling and getting the first group titled well? Or do you change the title as the group grows? Or what's your recommendation?
Well, I think you probably already know the answer. Like, with where you should start at least. So I would do the thing you're most excited about and feel the most motivated to start. And I would start there, and then don't think about step 2, just let it come.
Okay.
Do that first, then you'll experience a whole bunch of things, and then then you repeat this again. You're like, what feels like the next thing? And then it kind of unfolds like that, right? But when you sit at the start and you try to like premeditate it, it's so hard, because how can you think through that many steps? Like, because you do one thing and then all the stuff changes. Does that make sense at all?
It does make sense. I guess, like my question is this, like I could title a group like Queens of Rebirth, talking to women in their 60s who are ready to rebirth for their season of 60, right? Or I could go, let's do herbalism. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll say my opinion here. It is to be specific. You know, if there are 170 or 100, I don't know how many schools there are, but if there are a lot of them, it's to be specific. And I teach both, right? Be specific out the gate, whatever that is, so that people can find you. And then don't put everything in it on day one. Don't wait, oh, I have to have it all perfect on day one, because you're going to find out really quickly that people want something different.
Yeah.
Within that, though, you want to give them like the pathway, like you're shining a flashlight in a dark arena for the star to get on stage. You're lighting the path for them to find their way, or to get into their seat if you're an usher, right? How do you do that? Well, you know a little bit about the destination. You know you're trying to get to somewhere. That is in understanding what you want to do. So something that is so vague, like Queens of something, is great once they already know you. But if they don't already know why they're supposed to be there, you know, I would rather use that kind of terminology as what you call them. Call your members, because you want to call your members something, and you have be even more specific. Like we're women, the 60+ knitters club, using knitting for grief. You know, something very specific.
Right.
I think will help you. Just in my experience, that's been the case.
Perfect. Thank you. And random question, Sam. I'm just curious if there's a story behind your artwork behind you. I'm an art person, so.
It's just like my favorite period, the Renaissance period. So I just like how colorful everything is from that period. Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
And
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to answer all of our questions. I have a two-pronged question. So one is, with all the schools that you have and the creators, for creators of communities smaller than 3K, what top 3 things do you think separate the ones who have robust, active, growing, profitable communities?
let's hold there, just because it sounds like it's going to be a longer.
I was going to say between those two struggles. So
Yeah.
what separates the haves and the have-nots, and specifically to people who have 3,000 or under communities?
Which is most.
I think always the number one thing is a passionate owner. So, you know, sometimes you see someone and they're like, my community's not working, and like they haven't even visited it for like a month. It's like, well, what do you expect?
Yeah.
And they're like, I hate this subject, basically. They don't say that exactly, but that's what it seems like to me. But the people who do really good, they love the thing that they're talking about and that they're doing, right? So it doesn't feel like a chore. They actually do it all the time, and they show up, and they're constantly getting better because they show up and they're doing it all the time, and they like to talk about it. So like that's always there, that passion thing. And showing up daily is another one. And when you show up daily and you're passionate, you tend to listen. Listening to what people say is key, because they will tell you like what you can do to improve. And so if you're always listening to that, like you'll continuously get better. The other thing is they tend to have a call like this, like we're doing a call here, so I get to see you. It's way more real now. If I just, instead of, because I've heard your voice and everything and seen you on camera, instead of just text on the screen. So definitely calls, and post the recordings too. A lot of people, and we find that like way more than 10 times the people watch the recordings than show up live.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that, actually. Yeah. And what else have we found? Oh, they tend to make, like, you need a traffic source, right? So like some people, it's YouTube. YouTube seems to be quite common with the people that do quite well on Skool. I think it's something about the mindset. If you're going to YouTube, you're trying to like learn things, you're looking for something deeper. So they've got a traffic source, and they continuously like improve that too. Those are the basics. Yeah.
Was there a second half, Ange?
The second half is, I think for me, my struggle with having a free community is it cannibalizing my actual profitable programs. And so what are your tips for effective boundaries of not overgiving? Because if people ask, I'm just going to say it, and then they're going to be like, well, what?
Ange, why don't you tell Sam a little bit about what you do? Because I think you all come from similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm an investor, and I have a company called the Happy Investor Method, and we teach people pretty much passive investment strategies that match their personalities.
Okay.
Yeah, so she sells high ticket masterminds and courses and things of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you even need to do a free community?
Because that's what everybody says. Everyone's like, you need to do. Email deliverability has been huge for me lately. And so everyone's also saying I have excellent email delivery.
I mean, yeah, free to high ticket is very strong. It is. It just is. You don't have to do it.
You're looking for more clients for high ticket. You need something lower. Like, I'm just trying to understand what you're trying to get from it first, like what problem you're trying to solve.
Well, I was thinking having a community will have more touch points for me to convert people through the stages they need to become a high ticket client. And then also, people ask me so many questions all the time, and I feel as if I'm starting to get a bit redundant. And so I'm like, wow, if there's this one area where people can just always refer back to and I can point them to, that would be helpful. But it's the nurturing the community part, especially for free, that kind of gets me.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think I have to do it for free, but I don't know of many
Well, I
What
will
about the
say that-
tiers? Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that like the high ticket people, I wouldn't worry about cannibalizing them. Like, I've got like lawyers and things, and I'll ask them a question, and sometimes they'll send me an article, and I'm like, I'm not going to read that. Like, do it. Do you know? I'm serious, because like the reason why people buy high ticket stuff is time. Like, the answers are all in the internet, basically, right? But they don't want to watch all the videos. They don't want to like do all of that work. They want someone to they want a shortcut, basically. So I don't think your high ticket people are going to be devouring your free community and not buying your high ticket thing. But instead, they might. The way I would look at like the free community is I think you can develop some kind of synergy there that helps you get ideas for content. And you can create a synergy where like you put it on YouTube, and then the YouTube feeds the community, and the community's feeding the YouTube channel, if that makes sense. I think a good example of this is what we've done with Skool News. So it's a live call inside the community, but only like 400 people attend live. But it gets like 17,000 views on YouTube, and YouTube started recommending it, actually. So now it's bringing people in. I call it like the inside-outside method. It hasn't been called that officially anywhere yet, but internally that's what I refer to it as, which is like let's make something cool happen inside this community and then share it outside. So we do the Skool News inside schoolers, but it gets shared outside because people outside need a way to get a glimpse of what's going on inside, if that makes sense. What we're doing with our ads now too is, I guess, a form of inside outside. It's like, hey, we've got all these power users. They're so passionate. Why don't we let them tell people what Skool is? And then what's really cool is when people join from those ads, a lot of them will say, who's that guy wearing that like Pikachu t-shirt? Because they clicked on his ad and they wanted who that person is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think if you can start to think of your community like this, it's teaching you things. You get to know what people want. You get to keep your finger on the pulse of the market. It gives you ideas for things to create, and then you can create them for the community, but they actually get used as things outside the community. Does that make sense?
It does. And how do you structure boundaries around it between people just asking random things all the time? I think that's probably my paranoia. Is this going to take up a lot of effort from my team managing an entire community?
It depends how many people join. How many people do you think are going to join this community?
I don't know, maybe initially a couple hundred.
That won't be too bad. But once it gets into the thousands, if it's free, like someone needs to pay attention to that. It shouldn't be you. But just to get rid of the clear, obvious like bullshit, basically. Like someone's just posted some complete nonsense, right? Someone needs to delete that. It's one of the things that happens when you have a free open space. But it's still not that bad.
Okay. Do you think it requires a proper launch strategy to open up a school? Like to just get that volume and that energy and that excitement versus having like 5 people join a week?
I would just invite your power users. It's always a great place to start, just with them. Because I think something cool happens too when people join a space and they see that there's already chemistry between people. They feel that, and it's what makes it feel good. I would also try to encourage everyone to think of how they could make doing it more fun. So I try to never do something by myself anymore. Like the Skool News is with Andrew Kirby, and he sits with me, right? The Skool Games is never just me. And that way it's not such a burden, and you're not just being the sole face of the thing. Like other people can answer questions, but also it's like I'm not talking to the audience. It's like I'm talking to Kirby, which I can do, but talking to an audience freaks me out.
Andrew, I'll also say that you are someone who could do like a mid-ticket or high-ticket and mid-ticket school. So definitely text me, because I think your strategy would be a little bit different just based on your past success.
Awesome. Thank you both. That was awesome.
No problem. Thank you. Erin.
Hey, Sam. So good to say hey to you. I want to start out just with a straight up compliment. I think the biggest thing that has kept me engaged in Schoolers is the community management. I just really admire the way that you and Kirby show up, because it shows people that there is no community too big for you to show up. You know what I'm saying? That whether you have a small team, a big team, whatever the subject matter is, showing up goes a long way. And that's something I also appreciated from Nick Sarayev's video as well, the one that went super viral before the school games in the summer. So I wanted to give you that compliment because it's felt, and it's something that it's not an overnight thing. And I just wanted to give you your flowers for that to start.
Thank you.
So I want to come in with a spicy question. My question is actually related to optics, because for background, I'm a coach. I'm also an artist, but my background is in diversity, equity, inclusion, in impact, social impact especially, and the idea of polycultural community, right? So a lot of my communities are really rooted on diversity, right? And this idea. So I want to know, in this climate, when we think about platforms like Substack that have been taken down from the inside out because of their open platforming policy, the fact that they don't police who works on their platform, I just wonder if there is a strategy you all have in your mind around what happens because Skool is just getting bigger, it's not getting smaller. Have you all thought about like what happens if, some controversy goes down on Skool, it gets a lot of negative visibility? How do you all plan on having those difficult conversations around optics, politics? Because it's pretty neutral for the most part. It's unspoken. But I agree with Arlan that you all set the tone. And I think the fact that you're not bro types, it's palpable. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people on the platform that, who knows what happens. So let me stop stacking this question. I'm just curious if you've thought about it.
Yeah. Well, not too much because it hasn't happened yet. So but I have thought about the problems of saying that you're a free speech platform, which is, I think, the mistake that Substack and X and all of them made. It's like, you should be one, but don't call it that, because you attract a very specific type of person when you say anything can be posted here, right? So I think that's probably the mistake that a lot of people made, and we try not to say anything like that. We're actually just extremely vague with what's allowed. We actually don't even say what is allowed and not allowed, really. And that works perfectly, because these groups that are getting into trouble on other platforms, they're looking for those things. And they're who you're going to attract with that. But what happens if you keep it vague and you don't really make a point of it, we've found. I think that we've noticed it with these adult actors, like porn stars, basically, right? Because they email us, and so and they're very polite and everything too. It's quite interesting. They're more polite than the regular people. It's quite impressive, actually. So these porn stars, OnlyFans actors, they ask for permission if they can post a community on Skool, because they know that usually on other platforms it's an issue. But they're not actually trying to do porn. They're just trying to teach other porn stars how to make more money as a porn star. So there will be no nudity or anything like this. Is this allowed? And we're like, oh yeah, that's fine. We might just not recommend that in our discovery system, right? Because there might be some kids on there or something, but it can be on the platform. It just shouldn't show up anywhere unless you're trying to go there specifically. We just are vague. We don't make a point about it. Often people reach out, and then we assess it on a case by case kind of thing. And when there is some things that are a bit I don't know if we should have this suggested in our discovery thing, we will remove it from discovery and search, but not deplatform them fully. So that's a midway kind of approach. And so that's what we do with I don't know, I've seen a BDSM thing and some porn star things.
But you're talking
I saw a guy that teaches that teaches, management, I guess, for agencies for OnlyFans.
The sexuality is one thing, because that's you can get a lot of across the aisle buy-in on that eventually.
Usually out something more extreme.
Yeah, but something more
like a Nazi group or something. That's
exactly. Yeah. Because it's such a gray line, such a fine line right now. You can
luckily we haven't had to deal with that yet.
Yeah, but I guess the question is, can you deal with it now so you don't have to scramble once it inevitably happens?
Yeah, because I will say that there are some, I am a professional villager as much as I'm a professional village maker, right? So I'm in a lot of people's communities. I'm in a lot of, and it's part of how I learn, but it's also how I participate. I really believe in circular building. And I think, to echo Arlan, like, it's like the question she asked about where are the women, right? I would ask, where are the Black people? Like, I would ask, where are the openly, you know what I'm saying? Like, openly
I
trans
think
people, things like
that
that.
part
And
coming in is part of what we've been working on for the past 9 months, right? Bringing in thousands and thousands and thousands of Black users since we met in person.
yeah, I mean, your group is testament to that.
Not just mine. No, I'm saying we've gone on and brought others groups in who have thousands of members. Danielle Leslie, Lamar Tyler, etc. And we did that behind the scenes. We didn't kind of broadcast it, but we did. There's going to come a day when there's going to be two MAGA for MAGA's own good, putting a flag down, and they're going to say that white only, or something. They're going to say something that if you are not prepared for it, it's going to be very, very tough. And on the flip side of that, if you are prepared for it, wow, how much you see what we've done to Target.
Yeah.
We can build up something. So I just think it's a really good idea to have that before it's a problem. It's just like the same way you would think about what do we do, and there's 100,000 people that come from Hormozi's group. Technically, let's get fortified in this way, so we just know what our answer is. It doesn't have to be the answer that Aaron or I want it to be. It just needs to be an answer.
Well, one thing that I thought was really fascinating that you pointed out, Arlan, on your response to Hormozi's launch, which was incredible. First of all, Sam, I'm very impressed that Hormozi brought so many real ass people. I was so impressed by it's just the community is popping in every respect. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I thought was interesting that Arlan pointed out, it's like, if you know that your demographic looks like a large portion of the non-white world, like, why wouldn't you speak to them directly? And I think what I'm curious about, no, it's okay. I was calling it as a backdrop, because I think with Skool too, it's not that Skool has to necessarily explicitly make a preemptive announcement that Nazis are not welcome. It's just that it's inevitably it's something that it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're here. They haven't decided to make
they're here. They haven't announced themselves, and I just wonder at what point it's proactive to, as much as you would speak to the people you want on the platform who are so entrenched in their passion, which is why we're all attracted to your platform, because you are that, right? Like, you are the person that we are here for, because you clearly exude that every week on Skool News, etc. You're just so real and authentic, Arlan too, and a lot of the other people. But also on the flip, it starts to, when it's not said, people will be like, let me push my limits. Let me push the limit and see. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's something that I'm just curious about, because I know a lot of people would feel this way. I would hate to build my entire life on Skool and then suddenly overnight feel unsafe and have to move it all. Like, that would break my heart. And I know that there is a threshold for different demographics on the group. They could do that. I was blocked out of a community, I'm certain, because of what I had on my profile, that I work in DEI, because it made no sense that I was blocked from this and then I looked in deeper, and yes, I saw where they're based. I saw some of the things on their website, and I was like, that's really interesting. I'm not going to harp on this, but these people are here. So I just wonder, if something did get aggressive in public, what would be the response? Because Skool is bigger than everybody now.
We'll close out this question. Sam, did you want to have a final say there?
There's always so many problems that I struggle to even deal with the ones that are actual problems at any given time, It's generally what problem out of all the problems should I solve today? Yeah. If I started to imagine about the problems I could have too, I would probably I honestly, because there's so many hypothetical problems I could have as well. That would be a serious problem though, if that happened, and I would have to think about it. And I would, if it was going to kill the vibe of the whole platform, then I wouldn't want that. But
well, there's no question that Nazis would kill the vibe.
I know.
We're going to go to the next question. It's just, you know what it is more than anything, is food for thought. It's food for thought. And I appreciate that you're taking that for the whole team. Lisa wants to know, what's the most effective thing you've seen Skool community leaders do to keep members engaged and not just lurking?
I would say it's those same kind of things, actually be passionate about the thing you're talking about, continuously show up each day and share things, do at least one call a week with your members, post the recording, and become friends with some of the members. Like that part is key. You don't need, all a community needs to be like engaged is a core group of regulars. We've called this thing like 10 true regulars. I actually got it from this other dude called David Sprinks. Most people think you need like 1,000 members to have an engaged community, but all you really need is 10 people that show up and care each day. And so if you identify the super passionate people and you DM them and you become friends with them and you escalate that to like a Zoom call, then you might meet in person or something. It's those core relationships that kind of feed the rest of the community. So it's like, you know, I sit next to Kirby every day and we work on Skool, but then that chemistry comes across to the whole community on Skool News and it makes it feel more intimate in a way. And then there's these other characters, like there's Hormozi, there's Arlan. Arlan's been involved in lots of things. And so like there's these key regular people and key relationships, and establishing those and nurturing those is the most important thing. I don't think how can I engage with 170,000 people? That doesn't work. I think how can I keep these core things there and then just make sure there's no bad stuff, basically.
Do we have any more audio questions or visual questions? Anybody have any questions as we start to wrap up? And they can be about anything, you know, they can run the gamut as we've seen. Can do it. Okay. Nothing else. Okay. So I'm going to close out, Sam, with a couple more of the questions I mentioned I had earlier. I would love to hear from you as someone you didn't brag enough earlier, but someone has made, would you say you've made tens of millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice can you give us, you know, overall, how have you done that? Like what has been the most leveraged thing that you've seen?
Well, I think this is what works for me, at least. I don't know if everyone should do this, but I'm like a fanatic, basically. But only about the things that I enjoy. So, you know, like when I said that lawyer emailed me an article, I didn't even read it. Like, I'm not even going to try to read that because I find law boring. And so I suck so bad at the things I don't like. But the things that I enjoy, I want to do them intensely. And when you do that, you get good at it. And when you get good at it, other people that like that thing seem to be attracted to you. Then if you make videos about that thing, people can kind of feel it. And that's when you get good at something, you become quite attractive to that. Then you can grow an audience. Then that's like, I swear that's at the core of everything. But then it does take some time. Like I remember the first year I was in business, I made no money, zero. But then the next year I made $100,000. And then it went, and then within a few years, it was multiple millions. So like it can start slow and then it comes fast. Like creating content, you have to do that if you want to succeed because that's what the internet is. It's content. And if you're trying to make money on the internet, you have to make some content. I really would get into YouTube earlier than, I really think YouTube is still like the best platform for like growing an audience for this kind of business. And then in terms of like the more tactical money making things, like all you really need, if you think about it, is you need some skill, some passion, you need an audience, and then you sell some stuff. But the people who make a lot of money are the ones that are just like have a bigger audience or a more like, it's probably a bad word to call it, but I call it like a cult-like audience. They're like very, you know, you can have 1 million people that kind of care, or you can have like 50,000 that are insanely obsessed. And so that's the most important thing, I think, is building that. And I think that comes from your passion and your talent and just sharing it online. And it takes a bit of time, but people will naturally gravitate to that if you do that. The more tactical things, I think if you sell high ticket stuff, you can make more money always, right? Because it's just more expensive. But that means sales calls.
What do you think that number is? That keeps being like controversial. Is it $2,000 and up, $3,000 up, $5,000 up? When do you get on calls with people? You know, obviously you can do it as low as you want when you're starting, but what have you seen in those rooms of millionaires, their sales teams? Yeah.
So when I first started, I used to sell like $1,000 things with a launch, right? Like automated, no sales calls. Then I moved to $6,000 with a sales call, and it was just me still. And that worked quite well. And then later on, I added a mastermind. I think masterminds are pretty awesome when it's right. The mastermind was the only thing that I ran consistently for a long time, because courses kind of burn out after a while, right? You can't sell the same course again and again and again. But my mastermind I ran for like 7 years. which is crazy. And some people were in there for the whole 7, only like 3.
And what are they paying? What kind of amounts?
36 grand. It
$36,000.
started at 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moved up to like 18 and, 24 and yeah.
Yeah. A lot of successful people that I watch, like I said earlier, 1 out of every 5 or so info videos that I see, somebody's saying when I was in Sam's mastermind and they're talking about 25K, 30K that they're dropping, but they're also making millions of dollars today. So I love it.
Yeah, help a successful person make 36 grand, because I would just say like, here, send this email to Stripe and you'll get a different transaction fee. There you go. Congratulations. There's your ROI.
Interesting. So like get some sort of edge. Find some
Yeah,
edge
just the smallest thing, right? Like,
yeah.
or you could sometimes you just tell someone like, you need to sleep, man. Like, what the fuck? You're like, you're not sleeping properly. And they're like, oh shit, you're right. And then that can be worth more than 36,000. When you're dealing with someone that's already making like, I don't know, $500,000 a year, even 300 grand a year, a tiny small thing can actually help them make an extra 6 grand in a year, right?
100% agree with that.
Yeah, and they're not so needy on you. Like, I would, if one of my salespeople ever sold someone in that was needy, and I could tell on the Q&A call, I'd be like, refund that dude, because I don't want to show up to the next Q&A call because they're just so needy. I had like 2 employees. I had 100 people paying 36 grand a year in my mastermind, and it was so easy to run. It probably took no longer than like 1 day a week, roughly. And I actually enjoyed it. That was the most important part, I think, because I kept doing it for 7 years. And actually, it was those members who did the first round of investment for Skool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was awesome. And I think that's like ultimately we were trying to get with an info business, I think. Like an audience, you start with some lower ticket stuff, then eventually you have a higher ticket thing, and then you might have a mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally what Hormozi just did. He's selling a $30 book, but he's really selling a $6,000 and a $24,000. Can I end it on something spicy too? I have a spicy, but it's not towards you. It's like, if you want to talk about it, you don't have to if you don't want to. But what's this whole thing going on with Eman Gatsby, like buying your old company and then trying to fight you with WAP? And I know who I'm backing. Like, I know who I want to win this little battle. But is he like annoying to you? Or is it like, oh, this is great competition. It makes me sharper?
Well, we were going to do like something together, right? Like a partnership with him and Skool. But then towards the end of last year, we had this problem with too many hustle bros. And so I thought, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. That's like, I actually feel kind of bad because I had to cancel that partnership.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then I don't think he was too happy. And so, but I knew he was going to go with WAP. He told me that. So I knew he was going to go with WAP. That was fine. And then I think the buying of the consulting.com thing, that's a little bit weird.
Yeah, he bought your old.
I was done with that like 7 years.
But he's like, oh, but he still did it, and he still like talks like there's an interview you did with Dan Henry where he's like alluding to it, and it's strange. I think it's strange. I can say it, right? I think it's like, I'm not a big fan of, pardon my French, everybody, but the pissing contest. Like, I'm not a big fan of that kind of vibe. So I wonder what you thought internally. Like, is it something that you feel like you're in competition with him, or do you feel like he's competing with the air?
Oh, I'm definitely not competing with that, because I don't know what you call that. I'm just trying to make Skool. Like, that's what I'm trying to do.
Sam just said, I don't know her, to quote Mariah Carey. I don't. So Mariah Carey was asked about Jennifer Lopez, and she said, I don't know her. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, it was just her. It's just a
okay.
meme. It's a meme, you know.
Well, I know who E-Man is. I mean, I just don't know what that game is.
Yeah, I guess from his perspective, you do need a villain. You need something that people are like, you need some sort of competition when in your storytelling, in good storytelling. So if it's WAP against Skool, that's one thing. But I don't think when you have both of you have you and Hormozi against Eman. I don't think that is a fight. It just isn't. Okay, that's interesting. So it was going to be something. It wasn't something because you couldn't have. You were going to just sink the ship with too many bros.
I thought we couldn't just get a whole lot more.
Yeah, there were plenty that came in during the Skool games, and then it was like, was that discussion behind the scenes? Was it tense, or was it like with Hormozi? Was it tense, or did he understand? Like, actually, I want to be a billionaire, so I'm going to play the game.
Oh, about like no more, like we need to fix this.
Yeah, changing course a little bit on the, because I could see how you could take it personally.
Oh no, I think like I just killed all the ads and everything, even the school games, just like basically instantly without knowing what the replacement would be.
Right.
And some people don't really like that because you're giving up what's working in exchange and you're going to replace it with something you don't know, like if you can even figure out something else. But I was just like, I can't do this anymore. This feels so wrong. I'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
so, but now when you see where we've got to,
Yeah.
out those problems, it's like what we came up with was better than the peak of what we had last time.
Sure.
And without any of the problems. So
was that like I'm being nosy, completely just being nosy because I have you here. But was that a hard conversation? Was there pushback from Hormozi, or was it like, no, you're right, that's what's best for the company, so let's just give it a shot?
he agrees with me that like that's a problem, like the too many hustle bros thing. Maybe not as much as me, but he didn't fight it.
Yeah.
I think he just trusts me to do what's right for the customers.
Yeah, that's interesting. That whole dynamic is really fascinating to me. It'd be interesting to watch you all have a meeting.
Yeah, we're like polar opposites in a way.
You
Yeah.
really are. You really are. But you get each other here. Like you get each other across the room. Sam, thank you so much. You've given us so much of your time, so much energy, and so much information that I think we'll all take with us. Thank you for being so honest. Thank you for, I want to thank everybody for your questions. They were all fantastic and important. And anybody watching this on the replay or watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments what your favorite parts were. Sam, anything else you want to leave us with when it comes to growing Skool? How can we help you do that?
Just use it and share your feedback.
Amazing. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Mary Alice just signed up for a Skool account. Cool.
Welcome.
Great. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.